good afternoon, and welcome to episode 6 of our Challenges in the Street. Happy to be here broadcasting live from the basement of Station 12. Who knew? Anyway, today's topic is Rapid Intervention Operations Training for Success, and our presenter today is going to be Lieutenant Matt Machala, who currently is assigned to the 1st Battalion on the B shift, filling in at 12B in a long-term vacancy. So we're happy to be back, episode 6, glad to be up and doing this again. Couple things, housekeeping notes, command comps. So let's talk about if you are a command officer and you're looking for COPDI credit, then remember that you need to have logged in the beginning and then at the end with your fire department ID. And that would be using the YouTube live stuff. Our annual, or not our annual, but our regular call for presenters, right? So we are looking for people to present. We've had quite a few offer up some stuff. We're looking for all kinds of things, whether it be apparatus checkouts, rural water supply, operating from fire hydrants, EMS, ladder stuff, forcible entry, all those kind of things. We're looking for that kind of stuff. We do have things planned out the next couple months, but right, we're looking for presenters, all ranks, all affiliations, it doesn't matter. We need people to talk about this. Remember, the goal of the program is to address those things between policy and formal training, what really happens in the streets. I want to take a look at something that we caught out in the streets, and that's going to be a standpipe connection. So if I can get the fellows behind the curtain to show that standpipe connection. So that's rather unusual. That we happen to be driving by that. That's in the middle of a grass median on Colesville Road near Sligo Creek Parkway. Asked the fellows to investigate that a little bit, and the crew of RE5, which was engine 701 at the time, they happened to swing by, and as it turns out, it was put in place by WSSC to evacuate water from a vault in water main that they're working on, part of the Purple Line project and so forth. Nobody knew anything about it. It's not like you would try to take that for a connection, and there's no building nearby, but it just seemed odd that in the middle of this grass median on a 6-lane road that you got a fire department connection. So it's important that this probably could happen other places in the county. It is no longer there. It's gone now. They took it out yesterday, I believe, but it was in there for a good month, and it certainly could be confusing. So we don't know exactly how they use it. They probably hook up some kind of pump, and then that pump is going to take water out of their water mains that they're installing, right? So it's part of a maintenance thing. So thanks for the photo. Let's go back live here. Got it. So only one more housekeeping thing. We'll talk about questions. So this time, right, each time we've done stuff a little bit different. So our questions today as they come in, we'd like to hold them to the end of the segment. So while you can type them as you go, we want you to do that. They may not be asked until the end of the segment. So now I'm very pleased to introduce Lieutenant Matt Machala, our key presenter for today. He's going to talk about rapid intervention stuff and things that you can do in your firehouse as training for these type of activities. Thanks, and I'll see you at the end of the show.
Thank you, Chief. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Lieutenant Matt Machala. I'm assigned to Battalion 1B, as Chief Davis said. Today I want to talk about rapid intervention training and kind of putting all the pieces together. So the purpose behind this training is really not to teach an individual skill, but rather to kind of show a training scenario, a setup, different things that you can do in your firehouse or different areas to train on rapid intervention. We've done a lot of really good things in terms of rapid intervention training in the department. So I think we do a really good job on focusing on individual skills. Personally, I've gotten involved teaching firefighter survival, safety and survival at the training academy. We start at that level with the recruit firefighters, teaching skills such as RIP pack, a lot of really good in-station training regarding RIP pack operations, the pack tracker when it first came out. We did a lot of training on the pack tracker, in-service type stuff. So a lot of good training on the putting the pieces together, or the individual pieces, but maybe not so much on putting the pieces together. The last time we done a kind of departmental-wide initiative on rapid intervention scenarios was the rapid intervention training scenarios we did in 2015 at the old training academy for in-service. Excellent training. But really since then, there has not been a whole lot of focus departmentally. In the Battalion 1 on B shift, Chief Fitch did a really nice job in the winter, kind of before all the COVID hit, and we had our restrictions on intercompany training. We started getting multi-companies together in rapid intervention scenarios. So we were operating here at Station 12 with Station 24, Station 16, Station 2 getting together and doing a similar scenario to what we're going to present today, which again is just one option, one thing out there, and one little set of skills to potentially work on as far as it relates to rapid intervention. We know, at least in Montgomery County, right, most of our rapid intervention operations or most of our maydays occur, and the firefighter in trouble is rescued by crews that are around them. Nearby operating companies, they're either self-resolved before the rig deploys, which is great, and we'd rather not have the rig deploy. But we look at scenarios that can easily happen in the county, large, wide open areas, whether it's a warehouse store, grocery store, things like that, might require a wide area search, might not be as obvious, might be a lost firefighter. The large area search aspect is something we really want to touch on today. Is something we did in this battalion training that we just kind of want to spread to you. Again, one small aspect of rapid intervention company operations and some examples of how to set up that training. As Chief Davis said, the purpose of this Challenges in the Streets is really bridging the gap between the training academy and the stuff in the field. So me in the training academy, we do a lot of really good things in terms of building blocks. We teach policies, we teach individual skills, but getting out there, operating with other companies you'll operate with in the field, and kind of putting all those pieces together is where we kind of fall short sometimes. So again, this today is not about teaching an individual skill, it's just about food for thought, giving people ideas for training, and hopefully you guys can share some stuff back with us about what you're doing in your battalion and your station to train for these type of operations. So we're going to take a short break here to prepare for scenario number 1, and we come back, we're going to roll into that.
The mission of the Montgomery County Career Firefighters Charitable Foundation is to assist professional firefighters, paramedics, and first responders in their times of need and to assist select local charities. In short, we help those who help others. Established in 2018, the foundation strives to work behind the scenes to assist when needed. One of our first endeavors was to assist our brother and sister federal firefighters at NIST when they were furloughed. We created an online fundraiser that far exceeded our goals, and we were able to deliver funds to them as they continued to work while not being paid. When the pandemic first hit this spring, we helped coordinate, fund, and deliver over 1,500 handmade masks to firefighters and other first responders in the county. As the pandemic grew, we coordinated and funded 2 meal deliveries to all shifts throughout Montgomery County. More recently, after the tragic passing of Sister Lux, we established a memoriam fund. This fund has assisted with funeral expenses and is working to provide long-term assistance to Brianna's 3 children. Many of you proudly wear our pink shirts in October, red shirts on Fridays, and our St. Patrick's Day apparel in the spring. The sale of these shirts assists local charities who support breast cancer patients and local veterans. We don't publicize many of our activities, but rest assured, we've assisted numerous other individuals and families in times of need. Sometimes that need is financial, while other times it can be as simple as putting someone in touch with a resource that can assist. We can't operate without your assistance. We are a 501c3 charity and rely on donations to fund and fulfill our important mission. We are a charity of choice for the upcoming annual Montgomery County Employee Giving Campaign. This is an easy way to make charitable donations through payroll deduction. We encourage every Montgomery County firefighter to donate at least $1 per pay period to the foundation. Another quick and easy way to make a donation is through the PayPal QR reader. Simply open the QR reader within your PayPal app and point at the code on the screen. 100% of your donation will come directly to the foundation. We hope you know the foundation a little better now and will support us with our mission of helping those who help others. For more information or to make a donation at any time, visit us at mcfirefoundation.org, and please follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with our activities.
All right, thank you, everybody. We're back. We're going to kind of intro scenario number 1. You probably don't know what I mean by that. We're actually going to do 2 scenarios. We're going to walk you through. We're going to demonstrate those scenarios here. If you guys have any questions on anything you see during the scenario, whether it's, again, I'm not so focused on, we're not really teaching individual techniques per se, but if you have a question on anything that you saw done, anything you see laid out, whether it's a prop or anything like that, I'll go over a bunch of them at the end, but please ask. Some of the symbols, the dummy we're using, we can get you information on how to make one, all kind of things like that. So anything you see that's involved with the training, please ask, and we'll try to get you guys that information. So once again today, we did our intro already. We're going to run through two scenarios, scenario number 1, scenario number 2, and then we'll come back, and at the very end, I'm just going to show you guys some different training props we've brought in here to Company 12 that you can use to incorporate into your rapid intervention training. So we don't have them necessarily incorporated into the drill we're doing out today with a wide area search, but just some other props that people have built. We'll show you some pictures if we have time from props that people have around the county that are rapid intervention related or firefighter survival related, and kind of give you some options of how you guys can incorporate them into your training. So once again, scenario number 1, these scenarios both are relatively similar. There's just going to be two different approaches to completing the scenario. The actual firefighter who's in distress, the Mayday firefighter, is the same in both scenarios. So this is this loosely modeled after the Brett Tarver line of duty death. The Rapid Intervention Isn't Rapid article, if you guys remember from Firefighter Survival in the Training Academy, if you took the current curriculum, when you went through the class, if you did. The premise of the drill is firefighter lost in an open area off the end of a hose line and separated from their crew. Their crew had to leave due to being low on air, and now we have a lost, disoriented firefighter, and we have to find the firefighter, and then remove. For the purposes of today, we're going to cut the scenarios. Basically, when it comes to locating the downed firefighter, our goal is just to show you the setup of the drill, show you some of the search techniques specifically related to wide area search, what the crews are doing, some different options for completing those, and then we're going to kind of cut the scenario. So we're going to assume that the crews continued on with the full scenario once they locate the downed firefighter, but for the premise of the scenario and the purpose of today, we're going to cut the scenario when they locate the downed firefighter. So again, that's how our scenario is set up. Today we're in the basement of Station 12 where we've set up the scenario. You can do this training anywhere. I know a couple of years ago we did some training in a self-storage, an interior self-storage place that Lieutenant Pyle arranged in the weekend, permission from the management. Again, another variation of a wide area search that I thought was really good training. Different firehouses have different layouts. Again, this training could be done anywhere. We have this space available to us at Station 12, so we have it set up here. But again, this can be done just about anywhere your imagination can wander to do. So that's the basis of scenario number 1. Again, it's going to be a firefighter separated from a hose line, separated from his crew off the end of the nozzle, and the crew's going to have to come in. We have a rig set up outside. Again, we encourage you to get together with different companies. Obviously, we have certain restrictions right now. Hopefully, once those are lifted, you guys could work with companies. Again, in a real rig, you might work with personnel from a different station, from a different battalion, from a different county even. It's a very real possibility. So try to get together with some different people, make sure everybody reads in the same sheet of music, and you're not coming up with a game plan once the Mayday occurs. So we're going to go ahead and kick off this scenario for a second. In a second, the scenario does begin with a firefighter Mayday. So once we cut, we'll go to the view of our rig outside, who's set up and ready to go. And then our downed firefighter will call the Mayday, and we'll start. Basically, I'm going to narrate kind of from the background so I can explain what the crews are doing. You'll have some background audio and also be able to hear the radio transmissions. So let's cut to our view outside so we can see the rig, and we'll get started.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Firefighter Smith, engine 736 right. I am lost in the basement, separated from my crew. I'm running low on air. I need help.
Command acknowledges the Mayday. Can you give us your location?
Engine 736 right to command. I was operating on the engine 736's hose line. I lost the nozzle and I can't find my way back to the line. Zero visibility and I'm on low air. I think we were towards the back of the building. I'm trying to find my way out.
All right, so you guys can see we have
We're going to send the Rapid Intervention Company to come get you.
So our rig was formed outside. You can see they're inside. I'm initiating a search. Again, for the purposes of today, we're doing a demonstration. Obviously, it can obscure your visibility in different ways, face piece covers, hoods turned backwards, theatrical smoke. Again, today we're kind of just, our goal is to show you the setup of the drill and one method that the crew is using to search for the downed firefighter. So this crew, basically, they're going to deploy a search rope. So they've chose to follow the initial hose line in after the mayday. Chose to follow the initial hose line in. Done a quick scan with their thermal imager. The firefighter said, the downed firefighter said they were off the hose line. They were initially operating the nozzle. So they chose to clip their search rope in, kind of anchor off the end of the hose line there and initiate their search from there. Officers using the thermal imager to assist. They've brought their RIT bag in, using the audible cues in the pass device to direct their search and try to find the downed firefighter. Again, we found the officer found a room, opened the door, controlling the door, utilizing the thermal imager to scan the room. And again, we want to keep ourselves oriented. So the officer is going to stay at the door as the orientation point for right now, to have the firefighter find the downed firefighter, give them a way out, directing the crew in to assist the downed firefighter, and that's where we're going to wrap the camera on the first scenario there. So again, it's just one method, one way that we found to lay this drill out. We're going to take another short break. I'll come back and we'll wrap up that first scenario, and then we'll head into scenario number 2.
I want to take just a couple minutes and talk about data entry. Data analysis is an integral part of our EMS system. It allows us to view our performance, assess the health of our patients as a population, and helps us manage the organization and make good decisions. It all starts with you. We rely on the information you enter into FireApp and eMeds. Accuracy is critical. I'm going to go over 4 quick examples of data entry points that directly impact the organization. First, let's start with the basics. You have to fill out an eMeds report on all patient interactions. Now more than ever, eMeds data is crucial for identifying and tracking our interactions with patients even when we don't transport. Not sure if you have a patient? Here are some tried and true criteria. We're relying on a system that compares our eMeds data with health department records of COVID-positive patients. This cross-reference is one of the primary ways that we track and report information to you and to FROMS. The next data point is crew member names. It's crucial that the crew members are correct in both eMeds and FireApp. We use this information to track contact with COVID-positive patients, which allows us to report out to you and to FROMS. So especially at shift change or when working on a unit with rotating crew members, always double check the accuracy of these names in eMeds. Next is the transport destination on the MDC. This data feeds the hospital transport status dashboard, and in order for this to be accurate, the system has to recognize the destination name. So please use conventional abbreviations for the destination and verify the name on the MDC. And last is the transfer of care time in eMeds. This must be recorded as the time that the hospital staff takes over patient care and the patient is no longer physically on our stretcher. In aggregate, these times allow us to assess the hospital's ability to manage throughput and to keep the wheels of our transport units rolling. On a side note, it's wasteful to wait for a bed, and we are actively looking for opportunities to reduce the transfer of care time. So if you're waiting for more than 30 minutes to transfer care, please contact your EMS duty officer. Thanks for listening, and thank you for continuing to provide excellent service to the residents and visitors of Montgomery County.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Again, that was the end of scenario number 1. So we'll just go over some takeaways. I think we had one question or 1 or 2 points that were brought up on a live chat that we'll try to review. So again, the real premise of today is not so much about the actual operation. We could talk about a ton of, we could talk about the policy. We could talk about how to break up your rig. We could talk about having different search groups. We could have a search, removal, hose line, however you want to do it. Basically, what you just saw was essentially the complement of, and again, this is scripted. It's more to see the layout of the drill. So our companies were basically just showing the setup and the techniques. So the one comment was making entry prior to acknowledgement from command or permission from command. It's an excellent point and definitely something we want to train. So when we get these full scenarios together out in your companies, not really here for videoing purposes, but certainly that try to get a command officer, whether it's the LFRD, your chief officers, whether it's the battalion chiefs, whoever, have somebody in that command role. Definitely good to exercise that discipline. You hear a Mayday, we don't want to just rush in. There might be something else at play that we don't know about. We need to do that stop. Everybody, hey, what's going on here? Listen. Maybe somebody's right there with the firefighter, can orient their way out, and we might not even have to activate the rig. So, again, good point. Something to bring up. Make sure it's mentioned in your training as we go forward. Just want to go over the techniques that they used real quick. Again, this was the guys from Company 15 and B Shift were nice enough to agree to come over and help us out. So they showed their method and their plan for large area search. Basically, it involves anchoring the search rope off the end of the hose line. In this particular scenario, that's what they would do. Personally, I'm a fan of it. I like it. They didn't want to bring the search rope in from the outside. It's just another thing to manage. It allowed them to move quicker down the hose line, since that's where the Mayday firefighters said they last were. Basically went to the last known location, anchored off there, then used the audible cues from the pass device that was activated to orient themselves to find the downed firefighter. So use the search rope. That's how they chose to use it. They've trained on it. They said a combination of the officer utilizing the thermal imager to orient with where the crew members are, using those visual clues or those audio clues helped locate the downed firefighter. We'll talk about the search bag a little bit more and some different search bag options. Again, we'll solicit what the viewers, what other companies are doing for large area search and how your bag is set up later on. So we'll get there. As far as scenario number 2, again, the basis for scenario number 2 is really the same as scenario number 1. So our approach is just a little bit different. And again, just to show one other option of something you could work on, or maybe a different method that might be beneficial when we're working on large area search. So the downed firefighter is going to be the same area, same background. Hey, we're 100 feet or so, 150 feet inside this building, off the end of a hose line, lost, disoriented, running low on air. At that point, we're going to initiate. Our rig is going to deploy. We're going to kind of pick up the scenario after the Mayday has been called. You guys heard the Mayday. It's going to be the same Mayday. This is what we would do if we were setting up the training for different companies to come through and do it. So we're going to pick up the video kind of where we would be after the Mayday has been sounded. The Mayday's been called, commands deployed the rig to locate this downed firefighter. So for this second scenario, we're going to do kind of a two-pronged approach, and you guys will see as we start. We'll have our search crew go in like normal, following the initial hose line in, going to do a rope-based search off the end of the hose line to find the downed firefighter, while a second search team or a second part of the rig is going to do an exterior assessment of the building. They're going to use some different tools to do that, and we'll kind of see what they come up with and go from there. So we're going to go outside and take a look at our rig. And again, we're going to pick up the scenario, assuming the same Mayday has been called, and go from there. And command has given the rig the okay to deploy. So let's go to the video outside, and we can begin scenario number 2. All right, so you guys see we've initiated scenario number 2. Okay, we have our interior crew again coming in to do a search based off the initial hose line. They're going to take a search rope in and start that search. We have our second search team or a second part of our rig, however you want to term it. There's standard for this, obviously. Doing an exterior assessment of the building, utilizing the pack tracker device, and also utilizing the thermal imager to read the building and the conditions. Or hopefully listening for audible cues, see what they can hear, see where the pass device is loudest. It looks like our exterior feed might be having some connectivity issues.
Rig 2, come in. South Delta, we have a doorway. I got high readings, high signals on the pass tracker. Requesting to make entry with my crew.
Okay, so the exterior search team, or the search team number 2, has acknowledged that they have high readings on the pack tracker. They were getting about 70 to 80% so on their pack tracker signal strength when they got to the exterior door there on the Delta side of the building. we kind of lost that feed, it looks like, so we're going to pick it up from the inside view. But basically, they found an exterior door with loud audible cues from the pass device, high signal strength in their pack tracker. They radioed those findings to command. So that interior crew, might be slowed down, might be a wide area to search, might be obstacles. We're able to find a secondary entrance. We have our hose line was directed by the officer to come protect that crew. Coming over, they're going to orient their search based off the hose line. Again, the officer utilized the pack tracker and thermal imaging camera to find the downed firefighter. Now we have a hose line there to protect us. We have ourselves oriented with the exit with the hose line. All right, so that was the, we can cut the scenario there. We'll just keep my audio for now. So basically the downed firefighter was located by that second search crew. Again, we went with a two-pronged approach this time. It's just something you can train on, something you can emphasize. While the downed firefighter was last known to be on the end of the hose line, leading through a certain entrance, through the main entrance of the building, there may be a closer way to get to them. So did that exterior assessment. It teaches use of different tools, use of different skills, reading the pack tracker, showing how that signal strength works. Again, it was difficult to see on that feed, but on our building here, we know that the signal strength is impacted by the building materials. Block, ordinary construction exterior of this building here, very tough for those RF signals from your transmitter on your SCBA to penetrate, or for the pack tracker to read. Once they got around to that door, a little bit more thin of material, has a glass window on it. Obviously, that radio signal was penetrating that much better. They were able to get that high reading, realize that, hey, this downed firefighter is probably somewhere near, right inside this door. They launched that second search crew. They had enough manpower to do that, and were able to find the firefighter quickly, potentially while that interior crew was held up by something else. So another method we can use, again, just something we chose to incorporate here to show you a potential approach to not solving, but helping mitigate these firefighter maydays in large, wide open scenarios. All right, again, if anybody has any questions on anything they see method-wise, please submit them. We're going to take a short break again here to kind of transition to our final part of our presentation, where we look at some training props and some different options for drills outside of the wide area search scenario.
Taking care of the pair. The care and feeding of your irons. The Halligan and its parts need a bit of a review every once in a while. The pick and the adze are at one end, while the fork shoulders, the crotch of the forks, and the gap of the forks are at the other end. Note the set line and the gap line installed on the forks. These ends are connected by a central shaft. Square them away. The edges are there for a reason. Keeping your Halligan tuned ensures that your strikes will land true. Further tuning tips and markings for your Halligan can be researched online. Don't forget the axe. Strip the axe of any paint, taking care to inspect for cracks, chips, and burrs. Using handheld tools, resurface and square all of the striking surfaces. This enhances safety while striking. Don't forget to keep them clean. A handheld grinder with a wire cup brush removes much dirt, rust, and debris. Instead of grinding to remove burrs and chips, consider using a flat file. Don't paint them. Except for unit markings, metal striking tools should remain bare metal. And don't add grips to the irons. Some manufacturers add them as a feature, but well-used tools see these come off quickly. A light oil should be applied to prevent rust. Maintain your tools. They may save your life.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I know we had some problems with the exterior feed in that last scenario, so there were some questions or something we want to point out with the pack tracker. So again, that wasn't really clear on the feed about how we were reading the pack tracker and what we were seeing. So we just want to show that again real quick. So again, the pack tracker is a good individual skill to work on that we want to try to incorporate into our training. So you can see when there's no pass device in operation, or in activation, I'm sorry. This is what you see here on the screen. Again, there's a good training PowerPoint on quick links and everything everybody can go over, but just so we can kind of review what we saw here and what the signal strength was that we were reading when we were at that exterior door. I'm just going to show you the screen. I'm going to show you how to lock in and then what we were reading when the pass device is in full activation. So again, a great tool to have on the outside when you're running these scenarios. Have it on in the basket or in the officer's hands or whoever you designate to carry it. Great tool. Have it turned on even if there's no pass device in activation. You'll see the regular screen here, the home screen, and then we're going to activate the pass device and the down firefighter there again in the room. Hopefully we don't get too much background noise, but at least we'll be able to see. I'll lock into it and you can see the signal strength, which will be pretty representative of what they saw when they were at that exterior door. Okay, so we have an SCBA and an alarm at Station 12, spare 1. I hit the enter button once it came up at the top of the screen, and it goes into search mode. We're above 50%, so you guys can see we're getting a reading on the LEDs there. Very directional based, right? So as I point the front of the receiver, all right, so as I point the receiver in different directions, you guys can see the signal strength change. Obviously, again, it's a tool. Depending on the building construction, it might be higher or lower depending on what direction you're pointing. So a skill to work with, a tool to work with, a skill to work on, but something we incorporate into this training. And how you're going to read through different building materials is very dependent and can change. So work on it, use it, and incorporate it into your training if you can. So we're going to get that pass device reset. So we don't have to contend with that background noise anymore. Again, this is kind of an unplanned part of the drill, but we weren't with that audio or that visual cut out when we were on the outside there. So just wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to see the actual pack tracker, what the readings were. And again, they use that as a tool to determine that they could enter through a different point to get to the down firefighter more quickly. So just something to keep in mind and maybe incorporate into your training. All right, guys, are we going to be able to have me walk around to these different props? Is that okay with the video? Can I move? Okay. So again, now we want to show you guys some different training props that are available. We didn't use them today in this scenario. They're props that are individual, kind of separate props that aren't really normally part of RIT training. They practice individual skills. You can easily incorporate them into scenarios, and they're really good to help help throw into different scenarios to make them more complicated, more challenging, or change them up rather than just have a large, wide open area. Like we talked about in a full scenario, not necessarily just what we showed today, but in a full scenario, we have to do maybe air, some kind of air transition, firefighter removal. These might make that a little bit more difficult or challenging if you'd incorporated these in. If we come over here, again, this is just a multi-use prop that was made. You can see you can do a couple different things with it. If you guys can see, basically it simulates a narrow hallway on the inside. We can see it's got a Denver drill prop here on the top. So we could do the Denver drill with it. We could do reduced profile. It's got studs framed out on the sides. And it also has holes in it. And again, it's not a great view here. We can bring it closer to the camera maybe at the end. But we have holes drilled in the sides so we can weave an entanglement through it. So it's a good multi-use prop. It breaks down. It can store pretty easily. Again, it's something that we have the plans for. If anybody wants to know how to build it, it's relatively cheap. So if shifts want to get together, pitch in, something you can keep in your firehouse. Again, you could throw it in the middle of a scenario to have crews have to go through do a reduced profile maneuver, do an entanglement, anything like that, or just the standalone Denver drill. That could be done with this particular prop. This prop over here, again, I kind of have it set up in a doorway. So this prop right over here is normally a standalone bailout prop. Okay, so it's used to train on window bails, hang and drop, things like that. You could see in this scenario, we've used it to put in a doorway. So the size of that window now that we've created by putting it against the doorway is pretty similar to a small casement window in a basement. Again, just something to throw in there. Depending on where you put it, you can either have a full-size window, you can shrink it down by doing something like we did. It's just something you could throw in the middle of a scenario. So it's a good thing to have as a standalone prop. You can use it to teach bailout methods. It has a platform that would normally go here. You take this ladder away. When you're teaching bailouts or you're practicing with whatever you carry with you, it could be a standalone prop, again, just out in the middle of the apparatus bay. Has a platform that comes up to here, so basically floor height in a normal single-family home. And then your normal height sill and a relatively normal size window to go out that way. But to incorporate in a RIT scenario, we have our downed firefighter in there in our simulated basement. We could put the platform here or just use it as is and have the crews on the inside have to simulate getting a firefighter up and out of a basement window, a small casement window. So again, it's an example of a standalone prop. It's relatively cheap to build. It's in a couple firehouses around. We can get you plans on how to make one if you want, but we've put it into the middle of what would be a RIT scenario and use that to drill on high anchor points, reduced profile, get a firefighter out of a reduced opening, however you want to do it and incorporate it into the middle of your scenario. So another standalone prop there. Can we go over to the pictures of the last prop? And just let me know when we're there. Okay, so if we have the pictures up on the screen, this is just another prop that was built by some station. This is the one that actually is at Station 1. Company 1 and B shift created this prop. This is just another Denver drill prop. This obviously a lot more bolsterous than the multi-use prop. This one is also multi-use, and it could break down. I'm sure the guys would be more than happy to get people the plans on how they built this, but again, relatively cheap. Something that's in the stations for people to work with. You can see it has an entanglement prop built into the bottom. So rather than just the individual skill with the Denver drill that everybody knows, you back up against the window and just heaving a firefighter out a window, we can incorporate this prop into a full RIT scenario also. So whether it's following the hose line, whether it's in a removal, I know a lot of people, it's close to home, close to the area, but in the Howard County line of duty death, Nate Flynn, if you listen to the rig's recount of that rig operation, really remarkable what they had to go through in that removal process. And it involved things like cutting wires, entanglement, high heat, relatively confined space. So a lot of these things aren't out of the realm of possibility or realism to incorporate into a scenario. So again, this is another in-county prop that was built that while, yeah, you can do individual skills with it, it could also easily be incorporated into a rapid intervention training scenario. And again, aside from that, there's also the props there at the Public Safety Training Academy, at the academy that are also available for everyone's use like normal. You can go through the process to request Training Academy use, and we do have the Denver drill prop there. We have wide areas there. We have the Columbus drill prop, things like that. Again, if you want to use these resources that are there, request them through the appropriate channels like you would normally, and they're available for your use as well, besides these in-station training props. Was there any questions? Do we want to do questions on that last part or any of the props? Anything come up? All right. I want to show one other thing. If we could switch camera feeds back out to the apparatus bay, we're just going to go over one other large area search point real quick with another search rope method to potentially incorporate into this drill. And then I think that'll about wrap up unless anybody has questions. So can we switch feeds back out to the bays? I'm going to walk out there and get that follow camera. All right, am I on UCAP? All right, so again, this is one other search method. So at Company 15 on the rescue squad, what they showed you for large area search rope is what they do. Just a straight main line, no knots. They use personal rope to clip off the main line if they need to branch out, if their tool's not long enough or the officer doesn't have visual on them, if they need to truly branch out in zero visibility. That's how they do it off their main line. This is just another large area search bag option. Company 15 is a little over 200 feet. This particular bag here is just a 200-foot rope bag with knots every 20 feet. So again, this is just another method that was made up. There is no standard for this, right? So whatever you do, just know what you do, know what your company does, and hopefully we can share that with everyone else. So this particular bag, again, 200-foot main line. It's got knots every 20 feet. It comes with 4 personal rope bags right here. They're 50-foot rope bags, but they're actually tied off to 20 feet. So the premise behind it is you attach this bag to your person on your SCBA, whatever. You come up, you clip to the main line. The officer stays at the main line at the knot. One person can branch off each side. The officer holds your clip. Your personal rope plays out the bag. You basically go down the line, back 20 feet the way you came, and you can make a big 20-foot arc if you need to outside the main line, come back, and then the officer can move up, meet the crew, and just keep doing the same thing. Yeah, you get some overlap, not a perfect system, but just another way you can do a large area search and operate off a main line with personal rope bags. So those are just some methods that we wanted to show. I'm being told to move over. Are we good? Okay. So I guess we're having some video difficulties, but just another method you could do with the large area search. Again, we really just wanted to give you some ideas. It wasn't to teach how to do a search or how to do the Denver drill or anything like that. It's just more showing you the options, showing some things out there in terms of rapid intervention training, hopefully give you some ideas. The challenge, part of this Challenges in the Street, is we're going to challenge everybody to show us what you do. I know there's things out there that I haven't seen. I haven't even worked at every firehouse in Montgomery County. So, show us what's out there. Show us training props that you guys have in your firehouse that you might use that, if you welcome other people to use them, that's great. If not, if you use them yourself, that's fine too. Show us what's out there. If your company has a particular way or a particular method that you do large area search, if you have a large area search rope bag set up a certain way, send it in. Show us. We'd love to see it. Just different ideas for us to do training and hopefully everybody else, and maybe during the next challenges, we could play those videos for everybody or show those pictures of different props that are available or different training setups that are available for everybody. So I hope everybody enjoyed today, at least got something out of it. Again, this is just one way to do it. You could set up, use your imagination, just food for thought. So thank you everybody for your time. I believe we're going to go back to Chief Davis for the official wrap-up for today.
All right, thanks. Again, another great job by Lieutenant Machala. And we really appreciate the work from the folks at 12 and 15 on the B shift. So rapid intervention stuff is important, right? We certainly have a policy about it, and you learn some stuff during fire training school. And then really it's what happens out in the field in terms of how you may apply some of that stuff and in terms of actions taken on the fire ground, right? So in closing, a few things I want to talk about. One, as a battalion chief out there in the travels, one of the things that's pretty darn important is this COVID stuff, right? I don't like wearing a face covering, but we need to do that. And I will tell you that my personal opinion is I do think that one of our big opportunities for exposures at that dinner table. Recently had a couple close calls involving meals or whatever. So I just encourage you folks as you're eating and planning that out, do your best, stay apart, eat in pieces, whatever. That would be my recommendation. I know if I'm coming to your firehouse to eat, I'm going to sit at the far end of the table because I've been to a bunch of firehouses throughout the course of the day. So my tidbits there after, especially this last week, had a couple pretty darn close calls myself with eating food, not having a face mask on. Anyway, you get the idea. We're all tired of it, but we can't let our guard down. So I'm going to finish up with our episode 7. We're having Chief Dempsey back. A lot of the stuff that he spoke about before, about fire pumps and all that, very well received. There were a bunch of questions about other things, so he's going to talk about high-rise fire alarms. High-rise fire alarms, certainly stuff that we run a lot of automatic fire alarms. High-rise is a little bit special simply because of the sheer size of the building and the complexity of those alarm systems today. A lot of stuff in there to help us out, but there's also a lot of stuff that can be pretty darn confusing. So Chief Dempsey will be back. It'll be another evening presentation, and that's tentatively slated right now for December 17th at 1900 hours. coming over the same YouTube live channel. And until then, looking forward, we want to see some of the other folks' props. We know they're out there. We know folks are doing stuff. Take time to share that. Send us some pictures. Send us some video clips of you folks using it. You can send it to myself or Captain Brady Miller at 2 on the A shift, and we'll work to get these into the presentation. So until next time, right, I guess we should say wash your hands, wear your darn face covering, and take care of each other. That's it for now. Thanks again for watching today's episode of Challenges in the Streets.